In Greenville, it's partly cloudy and 62. In Irwin, it's clear and 65. In Johnson City, it's sunny and 59.
SEC football all year long. Listen to Southern Sports Today with Chuck Oliver. Weekdays 5 until 7, right here on 1420 WEMB.
Tri-City Sports Now. You know, on Friday, I was ranting and raving on the New York Yankees' decision to stop playing God Bless America by Kate Smith and only use an organ version because evidently in the 1930s, Kate Smith sang some songs that the Yankees didn't like. Or who knows? I mean, that's all I can come up with. And the Yankees, of course, moving on and trying to be, we're the progressive team. What with, aligning with what? The United Nations and Climate Change Accord and all this, which basically meant that they would be using less traditional air conditioning at their stadium. It's Yankee Stadium still, right? I was at the penultimate game of the real Yankee Stadium, the old one, But regardless here. But now, due to the fact that they have the organist play it, and I'm telling you what that is whoever would be upset about this is a change when you go from lyrics to just the organist playing God Bless America. You're taking out, the patriotism of the song, the religious aspect of the song, which the political correct crowd loves, but I don't think the baseball fan does. Now, I know I've been hearing a lot about, these teams are under corporate pressure to do the politically correct thing. Businesses do not want the media coming down on them and all this. I don't know. It seems to work okay for Chick-fil-A. Still, situation now is that the Philadelphia Flyers, who, if there was ever a team that was aligned with the song God Bless America and Kate Smith, it was the Philadelphia Flyers. It was said that Smith coming out back in the 70s, singing the song before the Stanley Cup playoffs and all this was something that was sources of hockey legend. God Bless America played before Flyers games. They had an incredible, I don't have it right in front of me, but it was an incredible won-loss record for the longest time. It was like, I don't know, the Clemson Tigers used to wear an all-orange uniform, and for years they never lost a game when they played in their all-orange uniform on the football field. You've got certain, good luck charms that we're going to use this for the time and all this. I think you try to get this when they talk about, having a whiteout. Everybody should wear white to the game or something like that. It's less effective than maybe it once was. But I am telling you, I try to find the record here. The Flyers, when Kate Smith sang God Bless America before a game, was just incredible. It wouldn't, I'm going to give a rough estimate, 90% of the time, something like that. I mean, it was really amazing. Anyway, it was so amazing, and it caught on so much. First of all, the record albums that were made for the Philadelphia Flyers back in the mid-70s. And I don't know if you're familiar with this concept, but it used to be that after a team had a good year, so they won the championship, it was not uncommon, and this could be college or pro, for the team to have a record album put out, where basically what would happen is the season would be recapped with various play-by-play highlights from the course of the season, and a broadcaster would take you through the highs and lows of the season, this sort of thing, and talk about, the challenges they had to overcome. I had some of these records from the old days and all this. I was a young Pirates fan, and I wanted to listen when the Pirates were really bad to when the Pirates were good. And they had a record album that they made in 1971 when they won the World Series, 1970 when they won their first division title. I got to hear, Bob Prince, a legendary play-by-play broadcaster, give play-by-play calls. And, you got to see why people liked him because he said, well, the fate of the 1960 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Mantle Yankees was up and down like the rates of a Hong Kong money changer. It was as close as a size 10 dress on a lady wrestler. I mean, you had metaphors like that being good. But no, that was sort of the sportscasting of the day, and it gave you a flavor of that and a lot of color. Anyway, they used to have an album out for the Flyers. And when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup, Broad Street Bullies back 1975, 1974. I think they won it back-to-back years. The name of the album was God Bless the Flyers. Just like, God Bless America. That's how in tune the Flyers were with Kate Smith. Kate Smith was so identified with the Flyers, they actually built a statue to her and put it outside the arena. But because the New York Yankees don't like her anymore, the Flyers decided it was now time to remove the statue. Which is effectively like, taking Bernie Perrant out of your record book. Just insanity ruling around here. And people trying to find hate where it doesn't exist. This is why I was so adamant about the Indians got to keep Chief Wahoo, which, by the way, they have. They're still selling it on selected merchandise. They just don't have it on their uniform. And certainly fans still use it as, icons on their Twitter handles. And, it's still around in all this. Don't get me wrong. And the people that protested it turned out to be, people who embezzled money and, far extremists. I think around here in East Tennessee, we may remember when Unicoi County they built a new high school. It's now 20 years old, so it's not so new anymore. But, and there was a movement around, well, maybe we shouldn't call the team the Blue Devils anymore. Because, devils. It's perhaps different sides of the political coin, but it's all extremism. You can't have the name Devils. You can't have a caricature as your logo. You can't have Kate Smith sing God Bless America, because after 18 years of doing it at Yankee Stadium during the 7th inning stretch, we found out that in the 1930s, there were a couple of songs with lyrics that might not pass today. Okay. Moving on, Science Hill's Daniel Norris won his first game since 2017 when he finally got on the bump. And the lefty won his first game when he beat the Chicago White Sox 4-3. Remember, and this has now been slugged. You can watch it on our Facebook page. We had columnists for the Detroit News come on and talk a little bit about, if you say that he was throwing 94, that's interesting because we clocked him at 92. But anyway, he allowed 2 hits, walked 1 in his first victory since September 20th, 2017. That was not. I remember he threw one of the last games at the old, I don't think they called it Turner Field anymore, but the Braves' old ballpark. I think he was on the bump to the second to last game that the Braves played at their old stadium. So the Tigers took 2 of 3 from the White Sox. Let's see here. Norris threw only 79 pitches, but 56 of them were for strikes. And the Tigers, look at this, they're 2.5 back of the Minnesota Twins, who are leading the Central Division of the American League. The big surprise, and I asked Josh Brown on Oklahoma Nation this on Friday, who's the bigger surprise in baseball? The NL Central leading Pittsburgh Pirates at 12-7, or for that matter, the Tampa Bay Rays, who lead by 2.5 the American League East from the New York Yankees. it might be the Pirates because they lack star power, and let's face it, the Rays did win, somewhat quietly, but they still won 90 games last year. But another reason why is the failure of having good competition, perhaps. And the Rays' chances, although it's all early, may have improved a bit because Aaron Judge won't be back with the Yankees anytime soon, a further blow to an injury-decimated team. The biggest offensive threat in the lineup and the heart of the clubhouse went on they call it the injured list now, to be politically correct. Yeah, no Kate Smith, no disabled list. You're really trying to find hate where it does. I'm going to call it disabled list. What the heck, Anyway, third time in 4 years, Judge has gone on the DL. He strained his oblique muscle on the left side of his abdomen while hitting a sixth-inning single against the Kansas City Royals. So the big bat of the Yankees going down, and yeah, now maybe the American League East. Boston really struggling. I mean, they're right there with the Orioles right now, and a case can be made now for the Rays as becoming more viable contenders. That's the baseball news. Also, the Braves won 11-5 against the bullpen-depleted Cleveland Indians up in Cleveland. Now they go to Cincinnati, and because of interleague play, it's the only time they'll be up there all year.
For the town of Unicoi, Mountain Harvest